Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 81, Chapter 81, entitled, We're the Bad Guys. Izuku took a deep breath, looking over as more of the students arrived. More of his team. It took them a bit, all of them sneaking through the city, keeping away from the other team, the heroes, who were already starting to patrol. In a few hours they would make their opening move, but there was still a bit of preparation to do before they could do it. After everyone arrived, he saw them sending curious glances to the boxes of various items that were piled up. He hadn't actually informed them of his idea to talk to May. "What's with all the stuff?" Kaibara questioned. I had Hatsume make us some gear," Izuku answered. "Communications, weapons, some non-lethal poison. Most of it is basic stuff, which will help our plan along." "Speaking of moving our plan along, I had an idea yesterday, so I brought some stuff. I hope you don't mind, but I was thinking that since we have the suits, we give a bit of a makeover. Mainly I wanted to add streaks of colors to some of you," Ashido said, opening her backpack, revealing some makeup and spray-on hair dye. No one minded. So soon, a few of them had new additions. Shoji had the tips of his hair dyed red, with a hint of eyeliner under his eyes, making them look even sharper. Genki ended up getting his hair entirely turned black, except for a small streak which remained yellow, making his hair the opposite of what it was earlier. Yanagi got the addition of the bangs in front of her eye being dyed bright pink, giving her a slightly more punk appearance, though Yanagi did insist that she do it herself, leaving the room to briefly dye her bangs. Ashido had them help to add multiple colors to her hair, making her hair a mix of pink, blue, and purple. She smiled as she took in her appearance, rubbing her hands gleefully. "Those heroes won't know what hit them," she said, giving a fist bump. Aoyama got a small white-blue streak on his bangs, and his eyelashes got done, making his eyes appear even more sparkly. The boy gave a smile, and said he might have to regularly buy mascara. Sero got his head sprayed lightly with a red dye, which didn't fully change its color, but made a slight red appear in the light. Awase got some black dye, turning his hair into a darker blue shade. Kamakiri had white tips added to his mohawk. Kodai got a split hairstyle, half of her hair remaining black, but the other half was turned into a very dark pink, only noticeable in the light. Ashido also gave her a light pink lipstick. Rin had his braid undone for a moment, as Ashido dyed a small section of his hair green, another section red. Then she redid the braid, the green and red sections being weaved into the remaining undyed section. Nato had a few streaks of blue added to his hair, and Izuku, himself, got a yellow streak added to his hair. Ashido beamed as she looked over her handiwork, before she tilted her head. "Huh, you kind of look like Sir Night-Eye," she said idly. Kamakiri crossed his arms. "So, now that we're all dressed up, what's the plan? Or will you step aside and let someone else take over?" Izuku glanced at everyone, his teammates. He saw the belief in his classmates, the trust and encouragement that his two friends sent him. He saw the doubt in the students from Class 1B. It was time to put his plan into action. Izuku let out a long breath, closing his eyes, as he focused on how people believed in him. He thought about his plan, the way he needed to act, the message he wanted to deliver. When he opened his eyes, it wasn't the unconfident, shy, anxious, socially awkward Izuku looking at them. Instead, this Izuku was one who knew people believed in him. Knew what he had to do in order for them to not only put up a fight, but to win. The start of the confidence he needed to learn to be a hero, but for these next few days would be used for being a villain. "Today, we are here as a team," he started, looking at all of them. "We are here for a school assignment, one in which our opponents are our friends. Not only that, but they overpower us, and they expect us to roll over to put up almost no fight." He saw them paying attention, saw the way that some of their eyes widened a bit as he spoke. Good, he had their attention. "This may be a school assignment, but we're going to take this seriously. They want to label us heroes and villains. They want us to act like bad guys." Izuku grinned, and he knew he took inspiration from Aizawa. His grin was toothy. "Then let's be the villains." He saw a few of them giving nods, and he continued, smile fading away. "They don't think that we can do this. They think we are weak. They underestimate us. This will be their downfall. They think that just because they have strong, flashy quirks, that they're better than us." Izuku met everyone in the eyes for a few seconds, letting his previous statement sink in. How many times have you been looked down at because of your quirk? How many times have people looked at you in disgust for something you can't control? How many times have parents pulled their children away, looking at you in fear? How many times have you experienced pain because of those with quirks perfect for heroics? How many times have you been told you would never amount to anything, or that you would be a villain just because of your quirk? How many times have they made you feel useless? He knew not all of his statements would apply to everyone, but he should have said at least one thing that would resonate with them. Something that applied to them. Heroes have done nothing to change how society treats us. If they won't do anything about it, then we will. Izuku's grin was cold. Today, we aren't fighting to win some trivial school exercise. Today, we fight to start a change. We fight to prove that all quirks are equal, that there's no such thing as a weak quirk, that there's no such thing as a villainous quirk. We will fight, and we will win. Do you want to know why we are guaranteed to win? His team gave nods. Because we're fighting for something we believe in. Oh, hell yeah, Kirishima said, the first to speak up. That's so manly, Mito bro. Izuku flushed, giving a smile. Well, thanks. He gave a slight cough, focusing on the feeling of his friends believing in him. I want to bring change, to create a world where children can live happily, that no child has to suffer being called useless, a freak, a villain, a monster. This isn't just something I'm saying for this exercise. I want to bring change within our society, so that way there's no villain that rises because of the injustice that's being done. But I can't do this alone. If we're to bring change, I'm going to need help. Count me in, Denki said, his honey eyes serious as he nodded. When I was younger, I had poor control of my quirk and accidentally would release electricity. It hurt the people around me, and then I would be left short-circuited. They called me a dim-witted villain. They thought I'd be nothing more than some idiot that would be thrown in jail. Even after I gained control of my quirk, they would laugh at me when I short-circuit. My quirk is just a simple hardening quirk. It's fairly common and not very flashy. I've been told my quirk is weak. They made me believe that. I don't want anyone else to go through what I did. It's unmanly, Kirishima said, showing his support. More and more people spoke up, giving small explanations about how they were treated because of their quirk. From Shoji's appearance to Sato's berserker state, to Hagekuri's invisibility, to Ashido's acid. My quirk can weld anything organic or inorganic together. People were afraid of touching me, believing I would weld them to the ground or some other object. They'd be stuck like that permanently. Even my parents hesitated to give me hugs or pat me on my shoulder. I've always been plain-looking, but when my quirk came in, it was a little bit after the villain drill sergeant had made his debut. Our quirks are very similar, and people believed that just because of our quirks, I would follow after him and become a villain. They thought that all I was capable of was destroying things. Kaibara spoke. One by one, everyone spoke, even if only to say they would join in. For the first time since they were all put onto a team, they were united, not just because of a school assignment, but for personal reasons. They had a cause to believe in, something to fight for. Izuku gave a nod, adding his own story. I was misdiagnosed. I was labeled as quirkless. He saw the startled looks he received. I was nothing more than a weak, useless Deku. I'd been told to kill myself. I was the social pariah. Those who spent time with me did only so to hurt me or use me. They played with my emotions and threw me away when I bored them. Izuku felt tears gathering in his eyes, and he wiped them away, taking a moment to gather himself, to remember that it was the past, that he had friends now. I never want another child to hear the words, if you want to be a hero so badly, then take a swan dive and pray for a quirk in your next life. Silence fell, some of the students staring with wide eyes. It hurt to talk about this, but if this was what he needed to do to bring change, then he would do it. His eyes hardened. Today, we are the villains they tried to force us to be. Today, we show them why they should have never hurt us. Today we prove that it doesn't matter what your quirk is. Today is the day we show the world who we are. Most of the team gave a cheer, and he could see even the more silent people giving nods of approval. Izuku smiled, a friendly, encouraging smile, green eyes bright. Let's get to work. How interesting. It's a shame. He would have made a good villain. I would have followed him. Well, I am following him, I suppose. Midoriya Izuku. Perhaps he needs further looking into. Didn't brother used to be friends with the Midoriya? Could it be? If so, then it really is a shame. Midoriya would have been a powerful addition to our group. Perhaps I should talk to him. If I do, it's risky. He could be set as a hero. It might be worth trying, though. He's already so powerful, and he's bound to pick up more quirks. It almost reminds me. Silence. Eyes glancing over at the smiling green. Was it possible? Could he be? But if so, then why was he a hero? It didn't make any sense. Was it a coincidence? Monoma also had a quirk that let him use multiple quirks, but he wasn't related to him. His family history could be traced back to before the dawn of quirks. No one knows what he really looks like. I need to look into his family history. It isn't just his quirk that reminds me. Mother's told me about him, though I never spoke with him personally. That speech, the charismaticness. A small hum sounded. Eyes continued to observe as Midoriya revealed his plan. It was a good plan, one that could definitely work, especially with his little motivational speech. The boy disappeared for a bit, recording the video so they could initiate the first phase of his plan. Even if I can't get him to join, it would be amusing to see this plan unfold. The reactions of the heroes will prove especially entertaining. Too bad I won't be able to watch their reactions. Wait, what about Kaminari? He can hack, right? What if I asked him to give us the camera feed at the hero agency? But it could also give away the game too soon. Still, it might be worth suggesting. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 81 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 82 will be up next. This chapter was so well done. We're leading into the final arc of this fic and into this full exercise where Izuku has now taken on his role of a villain leader and actually lost his stutter as well, as he's generated his support by creating a cause for each of them to believe in. I think the author does an incredible job with this. Please note that last section, right? I kept the tone of voice very just standardized, very just mysterious. We don't know who it is that's speaking, so don't try to pull from the voice itself, right? Because I didn't mimic anyone in particular. I'm just keeping it generalized. So let me know who you think that might be, where some of that extra mystery is coming from, who you're suspecting, because I'm genuinely curious. I do like how the author has paced this fic out and how we've gradually gotten through several different arcs, right? And growth for Izuku to the point where he's lost the stutter, or at least in certain roles that he's taking on. You know, he's built up this confidence for himself over time while also battling a quirk, which makes him less likely to be able to trust people. So there's a lot of really great depth there to his characterization and the characterization of everyone else that's been built up too. I'm curious to see where this goes and to see what you all have as your thoughts and reactions. But if you have an opportunity, I'm still going to recommend, just like every other fic on this channel, that if you like it, slide on over to AO3, leave those comments and kudos to the original author, show that support. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.